I even tried to do the lower lip.
Stop.
She's like, you're not 3 years old anymore.
I'm not feeling good because I didn't eat. I hope I don't faint. I've been since 6:30 in the morning in school. No, I'm not going to work. I know that, but something has changed, and I can't tell you yet. Talk to Maria.
Who's going to run for mayor in 2 years?
2 years is a long time, Mikey. Let's deal with now, right now. Yes. I give it to you? Yes. This is because of the League of Cities? No. Just being an elected official. Yep.
A wicked smile.
Oh, is that what? I've never been. How are you?
Professional attire for the summer.
Are you doing? Okay, and look at the proud grandpa. Huh? Passing it to him. For what? The holidays? Oh, it's such a nice so I never say anything. Ray showed me the picture at Woody's. On my hand? I know.
I haven't seen a picture yet.
No? Mayor, you're all dressed up blue and you're so happy. Is there a reason?
Everybody said that tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
spring.
He said it when I came in.
I did.
But why don't you tell us if there's a reason?
I have no reason.
Was it a boy or girl? Aww. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's adorable. Congratulations.
Yeah.
No, no, what? No.
Because I called and she wouldn't answer. I called and I didn't get an answer, and then I see her at Woody's and I'm like, you know, I'm calling you because I want to know.
Well, she's taking. This is mine. God dang, you're good. You're almost as good as writing as I have. Am I signing? Am I signing it, William?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah, I hear that. You girls sit down first. Sit down. I'll call you up.
Yeah, sit on the
Oh,
front row.
they're doing the mariachi. No.
Hopefully. Well, there's always a hope that we don't get into agreement in the first place. Si no hay ahí.
I haven't decided yet.
That's the only. It's in your hands.
Yeah, thanks.
No pressure.
Okay.
I haven't decided.
Well, it's any.
What's this for me?
Let me see. I think the mayor wants to sign. Yeah. This is for. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I guess that has to be in before June. The end, July 1st.
It's coming Wednesday.
I'm good. How are you, Tammy?
Good.
The blue one is
This
general,
is
right?
that CGI video that council, that Anna wants council to sign up for, and then to do the online set.
Oh, okay. Explain it to me. I never got it exactly.
So basically what I can do is I can give you a copy of this. This is the actually agenda. I'll have to make a copy for you.
Okay.
But they're going to come in, they're going to do a video, a welcoming video, then they're going to do a historic sites video. So they're doing basically 5. You guys already voted on it.
Right. But I mean, what is it that she wants from me, like from
So
us?
basically an introductory from each council member is
Okay.
going to be on the video.
Okay.
So you guys are going to just be involved in the video.
Okay.
But she wants to know what time you guys want to be in that video. Slot 1 and
Is this
spot
for-
are already taken, so Wednesday between 10 and 6.
This Wednesday?
We already got it worked out with
This Wednesday,
between
Oh, yeah?
10 and 6. And is it a different script?
So you
or-
guys are gonna be on this, the welcoming
Erica.
script.
Okay.
The
Okay.
presentation, is somebody gonna be here to do that? The presentation.
Taken 3 and 1.
Hibiscus.
No,
What
Yeah.
is this?
So
Well, no, the times
I'm not
are
sure
taken,
Anna
what,
wanted
3
it
p.m.
3
and
and
1.
1 are
so that
taken.
people
Okay,
Yeah.
and
who the
10
artwork
and
was,
Between 10 and 6.
I know I've got something
talk to Tammy,
at
maybe.
11:30. That's I'm just trying to think 10 might be pushing it too close
Yeah, I don't.
to make it for 10. But let's go ahead and do 10 because I'm tied up at 11:30
happened to you?
and I don't know how long I'll be tied up afterwards. So
Okay.
That's what happened?
At the dog park.
Yeah.
10 a.m.
You got video?
and that way it doesn't matter how long.
What's up, Tom?
No, it was just recognition for them. That's all she wanted. In Anna's email, she just asked for recognition. They wanted
Oh, they're
recognition.
giving you
I think that was something you guys recommended, right? Or suggested.
That whenever we have, all it is whenever we have art in
gonna give you
City Hall, we have a reception for them downstairs, and they stay downstairs, and we have a meeting.
And then
We should bring them up and just
Nobody's gonna be here though.
save money.
Why?
You too?
But they're not having the reception? Oh, well then
I don't know.
okay, so we don't need to do it this time, it's the next time. So when we have an artist sitting out there, yeah, you know what I'm saying, and we all come up and leave them down there. So no, next.
Yes, boss.
I have to show you something.
Why, you getting rid of them?
I don't wanna see it.
My brother
Yeah, nice fish. Red snapper.
and my nephew in New Orleans,
They got federal license.
they live in New Orleans.
Yeah, but you have to have a federal license right now to catch them. The red snapper.
Give me your address, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, it's nice.
I fixed the other one.
And
I don't know what's done. Oh, there's, looks like baby mackerel,
I can pick it up.
but them are red snapper. That's a mangrove.
I told you, this is my brother,
I got one that's already fixed.
doctor, he practices as Dr.
And
Fish.
who's with him?
That's my nephew's son.
I primed it.
It's just like him,
the
they,
friggin' rust and
but look,
everything out.
the other one, yeah.
So pick that one up.
Look this way.
Hi.
They're like Louisiana.
Yeah, you showed me this picture. The ducks.
I know. That's all right.
You showed me this.
That's all they do.
It's a good-looking kid.
That's all I hear about is fishing and
How old's this one?
hunting. He's 20, he's a nurse practitioner. He's 25.
Good-looking kid. The ducks look good too. Oh, you have the prayer tonight. Oh no,
Matt,
it's Bess. Why would you have invocation 2 times in a row?
I didn't.
Because he's very good.
I didn't. You know, Maria,
Yes.
if you don't mind, can you add the
Yeah.
prayer?
I can,
Anna
but
will do it.
why don't you just do it in?
The only reason I ask is because we're going to bring the baseball team in 2 weeks from tonight. I'd
Oh.
like to do it that night.
No. I got all that planned. We're gonna do it with the baseball. I got it all planned out. Just let
All
me.
right, I want to know though, because I spent a lot of time on this.
No, you're part of the presentation, but you're gonna do it under my watch.
Of course.
Okay, I'm gonna be the lead, and I'll talk to you how I want it to be done.
I want to hear it.
Doesn't he look dapper tonight?
He does.
He must be being grandfather again for his
Nah,
son.
no. I just feel good.
Good.
Holly's doing good?
Yeah, it took a little longer though. Took 7 days to get her out of there.
She was in the hospital
They
for
missed
7
the
days?
drip. They missed a procedure, and it didn't. It hurt. She couldn't get her blood pressure down because the body still thought she had a baby in there. They're supposed to give her a magnesium drip, and they didn't do it until Thursday.
So go ahead here, and you're very good at, you know, and
Well, if you get out of my way, Arthur,
I'm saying,
if you
you're
get out of my way, no. She must have heard already what you guys are doing. And again, I don't know when that email was sent. It might have been yesterday. Call the vote. Call the roll, please. But just gaggy about and talking too much.
Scramble the short.
This is open forum and 12A.
Bain,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Best,
Present.
Councilwoman Mitchell,
Here.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Present.
Councilman Petralano.
Here.
We have invocation by Councilwoman Mitchell. Please stand. Oh, Bob, you're going to do it anyway? Go ahead. Councilman Bob Best, go ahead. Councilman tonight.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. Hail, Holy Prince, by your intercession and the power of Almighty God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits which prowl through the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Amen. We have the Girl Scouts. Come on up, right in the middle here, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right here. Turn your over here. Over here. Okay. Right hand over your heart. Somebody say, well, what do? You look good. You don't have to fix your hair for Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. You say aye. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, stay right there. Do we have anything
What an
for you?
awesome job.
We don't have any cookies or nothing? God.
What kind of a council are we, honestly?
Yeah, that's really nice. That's real great. They shake my hand. Line up nice and straight for me. Okay. I want your name, what grade, and what troop. Can you do it? Go ahead.
My name is Allison. I'm in 3rd grade, and my troop is 2564.
All right.
My name is Chloe, and I'm in 3rd grade, and I'm in 2564.
Got the same troop?
Yeah. My name is Maria Lombardi, and I'm in 3rd grade, and my troop is 564.
Oh, okay. It's 5, 6.
2564.
Okay. You're going to get one of them things taken off now for not knowing your troop.
No, she's not.
My name is Sofia Iglesias. I'm going to 5th grade, and my troop is 2564.
All right. Good job.
My name is Elizabeth Carcamo. I'm going to 5th grade, and my troop is 1857.
Okay. So you all are in the same troop. Yeah, and you're a little different troop. Go ahead.
My name is Bea Rodriguez. I'm going to 4th grade, and my troop is 2564.
Good, good. And you?
My name is Maya, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm going to 2nd grade, and my troop is 1857.
All right, good job. We want to thank these young ladies for coming up here. Let's scoot over a little bit. Scoot over. I'll get in the middle of you. All right. Go ahead. Smile. All right. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, the presentation for the Hibiscus Art Guide artist that's downstairs in display. That's downstairs in display. I don't know why it's here, but it's downstairs in display. Congratulations to them. June and July. Okay, we come to open forum. And we have, what is it, Joan? John? You have the floor. 1 minute. No, go ahead.
I'll take 2.
Okay, I'll hold you to that now. I got it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, good evening. My name is Jean-Marc. I drive a Nissan electric car, and on behalf of the many electric car drivers in our city, some of them present tonight here with me.
How many are here for electric cars? Okay. Do y'all have your own car? 3 cars? Okay. So that's, I want, do you drive the same electric car, 1 car? So it's 1 car and a hybrid. And, okay, all right. There's a lot of them. Okay, I'm just kidding.
I'd like to start off by thanking the city for installing an electric car charging station at the golf course. I spoke many months ago here in front of the council. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about electric vehicles for a couple of minutes that I have. According to a recent AAA survey, 34% of Americans say that their next vehicle would be an electric car. This is 17% up from 2017. One big reason, the concern about running out of electricity is diminishing. Range anxiety is less of a concern than it has been in the past. There are currently more than 1 million electric cars on the road in the United States. And they all need to be charged somewhere, at home or on the road. While the current charging station puts Miami Springs on the map for electric vehicle driver, it also benefits the local businesses. Indeed, electric vehicle drivers have a higher disposable income than the average American. Having a charging station in downtown Miami Springs would further advertise the city and promote the many local businesses among the electrical vehicle driver, visiting the area or staying in nearby hotels. In places where there is a charging station, EV drivers tend to spend more at the local businesses while their car is being charged. Again, charging stations attract a desirable customer that is twice as wealthy as the average American. Electric vehicle owners are very enthusiastic about their vehicle, and that enthusiasm carries over to cities that provide them places to charge. Providing even a standard 110-volt outlet like the one located on Canal Street so that electric driver using their portable charger will get your business notice on site frequented by electric vehicle user, like the app called the PlugShare, which is used to find charging station nationwide and will attract more customers. In fact, many drivers patronizing the many businesses that are near charging station. These businesses are already seeing the benefits of getting the extra patronage and revenue simply by having a charging station nearby or on the premises. There are many business people and travelers staying at nearby hotels who drive an electric vehicle. This visitor will certainly favor a location that has a charging station for shopping and patronizing the local restaurant, therefore putting Miami Springs a favorite destination of their choice. A majority of cities surrounding Miami Springs have a large network of charging stations and certainly see the benefits of it. Doral, Coral Gables, the city of Miami, and the city of South Miami are examples of cities that have not only a free charging station in the City Hall parking lot, but also many paying charging stations at the surrounding public parking lots. I believe that considering passing a city ordinance requiring new commercial businesses to install a charging station not only would benefit that particular business, but also all the businesses overall. We have an opportunity to ask the developers of the upcoming residential and commercial building at the Circle to participate in that project. To conclude, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. In addition to the benefits provided to the resident driving an electric car and the many businesses within the city, we will be reducing air pollution, promote renewable energy, and therefore make Miami Springs a better place for all to live and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's everybody who wanted to speak in open forum. We'll go ahead and go forward here. Approval of council meetings, 6A, May 28, 2019, regular meeting, and 6B, May 29th, 2019, special meeting.
Through the chair, motion to move 6A and 6B.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Pedralanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes, we have no reports from boards or commissions. We go on to 8A, the second reading of an ordinance.
Yes, Mayor and Council, you have before you second reading of an ordinance to the City of Miami Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 150 of the City Code of Ordinances by modifying Section 150.070, CBD Central Business District, improving development standards by changing the required placement of buildings and parking and enhancing the buffer between CBD and residential properties, providing for implementation, providing for incorporation to the code, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
The mayor. Go ahead.
No one, I'm sorry, not, but Chris is on vacation out of town, so I'll be fielding this one on my own today. No changes from first reading. As I mentioned the first time, this is sponsored by Councilwoman Zapata. It was in not directly in response to any one application, but certainly in response to feedback that was received by the Planning and Zoning Board regarding the lack of building standards throughout the Central Business District. And to create some more uniformity, you have before you an ordinance that does about 4 or 5 different things: placement of the building to the front of the lot, placement of the parking to the rear of the lot, increasing buffers in those properties that abut a single family, and focusing on projections of the side yard and protective screening in that side yard where the buffer is located. Again, no changes from first reading. Happy to answer any questions. This passed 501 first reading.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody that wish to speak on this item?
I don't know if it has anything to do with the ordinance, but in terms
Pull
of
your mic down so that people can hear you.
In terms of style of the building, can it be changed at this point? Because I attended meetings, and as far as I understood it, we would have Pueblo-style building. And that building it's not much of a Pueblo-style building, as far as I'm concerned.
We're not talking about that right now.
Okay, you're not talking about
no.
that right now. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just have one question that I want to just make sure everyone is clear on this. This does not call for any changing of zoning, correct?
Correct. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It doesn't do any of that. This is just about, it has nothing to do even with architectural. This has basically about the footprint of the building to be located, just to try and maintain the type of development criteria that currently exists. So essentially, if Worcester Drive were to have buildings torn down or something like that, what we know to be in existence today isn't codified anywhere in the code.
Right.
So whether it's filling in a gap in the block, like the one property that's there, or if the BB&T building goes away or a parking lot gets filled in, there's nothing requiring the buildings to conform to what we've come to know as Worcester Drive today. And certainly addresses some of the issues that have come up from buffer properties. So the buffer issues only apply to buffer properties, but everything applies to all the properties in Central Business District.
Anybody else wants to speak on the item? Okay, I close the public hearing. And if there isn't any further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
First off, through the chair, I'd like to thank Mayor Zapata and the attorney and Chris for attention to detail on 150-070, and motion to move the item.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes, we go to a second reading of an ordinance B.
That's going to be deferred, Mayor, until the June 24th meeting.
What, because?
There's a vote of the memberships is required between first and second reading, and they couldn't do it during that
Police
time. It's
officer.
actually going to happen tomorrow,
Okay,
so we'll put it on for June 24th.
gotcha. Okie dokie. We go to consent agenda. We have 9A, recommendation.
Mayor, I'd like to make a suggestion. Items 11B and 11C should have been under consent agenda, so if you don't mind, she'll read 9A, 11B, and 11C as part of the consent, or do you want to read them separately later?
But, well, it doesn't make any difference, but A, B, and C, or just
No, just
B and C.
B and C, 11B and C.
11B and C should have been under consent agenda
Correct.
today. Okay, go ahead. Does council consensus to do that?
Makes sense.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a recommendation by Recreation that council approve an expenditure to Supreme Chemical as a sole source provider on an as-needed basis in the amount of $12,512.19 for chlorine, as there is only one source to provide the capacity for our size of a tank. These were budgeted in the fiscal year 18-19 budget. This is a recommendation by the Police Department that Council waive the competitive bid process and approve an expenditure to Trustee Charles R. DeLongchamp Jr., which is the Westward Partners LLC, in the amount of $20,280 for building rental of those, as these funds qualify for the expenditure from the Police Law Enforcement Trust Fund pursuant to Section 3111. And this is a renewal of a contract upon the existing agreement. And then recommendation by the Police Department, the Council approve the issuance of a purchase order to Royal Rent-A-Car Systems of Florida, utilizing Miami-Dade County's bid number 8809-0/19 for vehicle rental services in the amount of $10,388 for the monthly rental of 2 vehicles for a 7-month period, as funds were qualified through the Florida Police Law Enforcement Trust Fund, and they were budgeted in the fiscal year budget.
Okay, so I'll need a motion for 9A, 11B, and C.
I'll pass a motion.
Got a first?
Second, sir.
Second. Further discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
This is consent agenda.
So you asked what we
Well, I thought you were in the consent agenda, you would pull one off if we're gonna talk something.
I
But
thought
go ahead.
about it. I forgot about it, then just asked if
Okay.
I have any
All right,
questions.
go ahead.
All right. Why are we doing a 7-month, not a 12-month? A contract. Chief?
The contract expires in February, so we have to renegotiate the contract.
Because it's usually for 12 months.
Correct, but the entire contract expires next February.
Okay. The other thing is for years, since I've been sitting up here regarding the $20,000 that we spend on the building across the street for the police, I'm wondering, once we build the senior center, could we use that building for the police? That way we can use up that $20,000 on something else?
I mean, that's a discussion down the road. I don't know if you're asking something. I don't know if the funds that are coming, if that's obligated for seniors living, is be allowed to be obligated to put police in
I'm
there.
talking about the building where they're at now. That becomes a vacant building, correct?
No, that building's gonna be knocked down.
Sorry. Never mind. I knew that. Okay.
Okay, I got it first and a second, and a good discussion.
Tells you where my mind was.
Yeah, I can
Some of
see.
you know.
I know.
Some of you know.
You're out for the summer. Come on now.
I have a question on A. On consent agenda 9A. So there's no competitive bid because this is a sole source provider because of the size of our tank?
Which one?
A. The consent agenda.
9A?
Yeah, consent.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, that's fine.
I got a first and
Right.
second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Call a vote.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petralanda?
Yes.
Mayor Beam?
Yes. We go to, now we're going to 11A, correct?
Yes. This is a recommendation by Public Works that council authorize the issuance of purchase order 190600 to BTS Land Services, utilizing City of Hollywood contract GF 4443-15-RD, in an amount not to exceed $50,000 for tree trimming services throughout the city. Council approved $125,000 on October 1st, 2018. That's for this year's budget. Funds will need to come from designated fund balance. For discussion purposes, for fiscal year 18-19, Public Works has contracted out 377 work requests for tree trimming. In addition, there were 53 work requests for removals, exhausting all of the $125,000 that was originally budgeted. Public Works currently has 163 pending requests for tree trimming services as of today. And our hope is that if these funds are approved, that we can, between now and hopefully July, before the peak hurricane season starts, we can finish whatever we have pending. And hopefully, the 50,000 will maybe made up by any savings we have at year end in this year's budget.
So we still have $75,000 left in that deal, right?
We don't have anything right
Well, the
now.
125 that we committed,
He's
we
already-
tapped 50. Okay.
Right.
This is going into the
Into
general
I know
fund.
that. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know that.
Mayor, I have a question.
Sure.
For Tom, please. actually, I guess, two questions. One is, Tom, for the removal of trees and the tree maintenance, how do you decide and I know that stuff needs to be done all over the city, so how do you prioritize? Is it by request from residents?
Yes. Yeah, whenever they see any of our trucks out trimming, we average 4 to 6 calls per block.
Is that
I'll go out, I'll assess the tree. If it's something that we can handle in-house, which we've done quite frequently here, we'll manage those. If it's anything beyond what our staff or I myself can't do, then I'll forward it to the contractor. Right now, we just have a high volume of calls coming in for tree trimming. We're doing what we can in-house to try and mitigate some of that.
And how about tree removal? When residents call for, and specifically black olive trees removal, when they want them removed because they're complaining that they're a nuisance tree, are we removing those trees based on resident complaints?
We're only allowed to remove 20 per year, per budget fiscal year, and we haven't seen those numbers in quite a while. We get probably about 6 to 10 calls for black olive removals now per year. Some of the trees in this lot that were removed were severely damaged from the tornado or hurricanes that were residuals that FEMA didn't cover, that we had to go in and take care of. So it ate into our budget.
For the black olives that aren't being removed because they're damaged because of hurricane or other reasons, when we get a request from a resident for removal because it's a nuisance, it's damaging, their yard, their car, their sidewalk, and I think you know about this with Coral Gables. They have started the for black olives. They're a tree city also, and they want to maintain their canopy, and it's always a balancing act. And I more than commend you for everything you do to try to meet both needs. But there's some sort of, my understanding is there's a treatment that can be injected into black olive trees because it's not the leaves. Everyone thinks it's the leaves that cause the staining. It's actually caterpillar droppings from the leaves.
Correct.
Right, and so there's a treatment that can be applied to the black olive trees, which is much less costly than removing the tree, and it also saves our tree canopy and would probably resolve the residents. So I would like to ask if we can look further into that so that whenever we get a request to remove black olive because it's a nuisance tree, that we attempt this other.
You will see that in the budget this year.
Okay.
Tom and I have been working on that. It turns out the cost per tree is $25. We have about, what, 850
A little over
trees?
800 left
So
in
we
inventory.
calculate it's going to be about $22,000. And the treatment lasts, what, 3 years?
About 2 to 3 years, depending on how effective the treatment is, how the tree absorbs the product.
So that seems like a really effective way to spend $22,000 and save our tree canopy.
But there are other reasons besides the black olives. For instance, like at my house, the roots are in my sewer system, and the problem. They're all in there, and it blocks up my my outgoing flow. So it's not. I think that so that we don't get caught into. There are other legitimate reasons to have a tree removed. A resident needing a tree removed because it costs about $300 to $400 to have the clean out to come to my house. So.
No doubt, and I said when it's nuisance, when they're complaining about, I prefaced it with nuisance because of the staining.
Right, I mean, just because someone calls doesn't mean that we automatically run out and cut the tree. I mean, we do try to work with them. We try to take other measures to persuade them not to remove the tree, and like the mayor said, there are other extenuating circumstances. So if they come and show us that they've spent a significant amount of money on repairs, maintenance, if there's vehicle damage or if there is property damage, then, we weigh all of that out into our decisions.
You do a good, responsible job for the city. Thank you.
Tom, while you're here, through the chair, if I might, and I applaud the councilwoman for bringing this up because I had discussed this with the administration myself. There is one downside, I understand, which hasn't been really come to terms with yet, and Coral Gables mentioned that actually, that it has a tendency to develop an immunity.
Correct.
And they're currently wrestling with that themselves. So
correct. They're also trying to find other resources so that they can swap it out. It's like taking an antibiotic. After so many years of taking a certain antibiotic, you become immune to it. Yeah. They try other treatments. So that's what they're doing. This was actually brought up a number of years ago. but there was no data on it, and the costs were through the roof. So that's when the Board of Parks and Parkways in the city had come up with the removal program, because it was a little faster resolution, and then we just started putting trees that were more accommodating to the neighborhoods.
That's right.
So is it correct that to date, Coral Gables has already administered this treatment to all their
Yes, they've started a
population
program,
of
correct.
black olives?
I don't think they've hit all of them yet, but they've started.
But they just started. There's no research on them from Coral Gables yet.
Well,
Just
there's
the
been
research.
some studies, and they're going off of
I-
that. But
they're
right
go-
now in their
they're-
community, it's right.
still ongoing.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
something we can discuss in the budget when it comes up.
Sure.
And if there's any results from it, they see any results, be worth to do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other thing? Okay,
Yes,
we have
I had a quick question. We allocated money for planting trees, correct?
That's
How much-
done already.
That's gone?
We finished the planting at the beginning of this month.
Okay. No,
That's done.
That's all. Thank you.
okay. So this is something to come out of the budget. We have the hurricane season coming up. We want to be prepared.
Motion
I
to
hate
move.
to do this, but we have to.
Yep. Motion to move this, Mayor.
Second.
Further discussion? Call the vote. Thanks, Tom.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolano.
Yes.
Mayor Bay.
Yes. Call me. I want to talk to you when you get a chance. You. Yeah, give me a call. I want to talk to you. Call to the clerk. All right? I got a couple questions. Okay. I tried to get your attention earlier, but didn't understand me. Okay, we go to 12B.
12A.
Over.
That was cute.
I can get them every time, can't I? 12A, this is a request by Councilwoman Zapata, a discussion of the residents' concern of the City of Miami Springs Dog Park. We have two residents to speak on this issue. One is Lynn Brooks. You're up first. Looks like you just got off the football field. Practice with the Dolphins.
Way better. Way better.
Good for you.
Thank you. How's everybody doing?
Good. Lenny, how are you?
Well, much better. Thank you. Should have seen me like 4 weeks ago. It was a sad story. Thank you, Councilwoman Zapata, for putting this on the agenda. It's probably long overdue. I frequent the, let me just, hold on a second. It's okay. I've been going to the dog park for probably, I don't know, off and on 6 or 7 years. And there's many people here that frequent the dog park like every day. It's like a ritual. So just a little background on dog parks. Some of us probably don't go to the dog park. The dog parks were established as a safe environment to socialize dogs in a controlled environment. Many cities are running out of green space and need an area for the dogs to exercise. A dog park is a public park, typically fenced, where in private park, it can be a private park, where people and their dogs can play together. It allows dogs to exercise and socialize safely, promotes responsible dog ownership. It also provides an outlet for dog owners to socialize. It also makes for a better community by promoting public health and safety. The owner who neglects to pick up after his dog, the feces, or who allows an aggressive dog to run loose can do a lot of damage to the cause. And that's kind of what's been happening over the last several years. I know probably many of you had dog park stories from people that just come up and tell you about it. There has been injuries, serious injuries. My injury was pretty serious. You know, it's not the dog's fault in this particular case, but the reaction from the owner and the total irresponsibility and disrespect that was given to me I can't even say, it was horrific. You know, I'm a retired law enforcement officer for 30 years, and I been through a lot, been to a lot of different situations. And when I laid on my back in the park, honestly, looking at the the three groups of people that just sat there and watched me just writhe in pain and let the dogs run all over me. And the one couple who owned the dog that hit me they were laughing. It was a rude awakening to me to see that the people really in this world don't care anymore. Not everybody, of course. So when I finally got up and engaged with the person whose dog it was, you know, he basically told me that I'm not hurt and I just need to go on my little way, and if I'm really hurt, just to sit my ass down and call rescue. That's what I should do. And so I hobbled off with my dog, and as I was going out, he told me, you just like this, everybody, you just stay on your side of the dog park, and I'll stay on mine, and we'll be fine. And I know that dog park is not for those kinds of people. There are a lot of nice people here that don't even go there anymore, or we do a recon. We go around the park and keep circling, and we find out who's there, and we look, and as soon as we see maybe it's clear, then we go in. And then when we see them coming back, we all get our leashes and we go. So anyways, that's why I'm here, and I'm, you know, I know other people feel the same way. They just don't know that maybe they can come here and talk to y'all, and maybe you can help them. There's many things that can be done, and it's probably not going to be it's just a matter of a collective effort of everyone working together just to get the word out. So the issues are unneutered dogs, irresponsible owners who are combative, very combative, and they curse at you. The feces, non-pickup of feces. Omar from Parks and Recreations has done a great job, I think, really taking care of mowing and fixing the fence, because you know the things get unattached and the dogs can get hurt from that. He's done a really good job, and whenever there's a hole or whatever, we call up and he fills it in. Great, that part is really good. When the police respond, they don't always have a clear understanding of the dog park rules and violations. I've never experienced that personally, but I do know that, you know, they come there and there's rules on the fence, and I do have copies for everyone in case you've never been to the dog park. If somebody can, if you don't mind, pass these, please. These are some that I just found on the internet that I liked that we can maybe update a little bit. When the police come, you know, nobody wants to come and talk to somebody about the dogs that are fighting. It's not a fun job. You know, it's like, can't you all get along? But what happens is not really so much the dogs, it's the owners and how they react to the situation. Instead of understanding that they have an aggressive dog or a dog that just isn't social. The job of the dog park is not to train dogs how to be social, really. It's how to let everybody that has well-behaved dogs to come and play and socialize. So, and then there's been some other issues that have come to light where there's people having parties, like big parties with balloons and food and dogs all over the place, like they just take over the picnic benches. You know, it sounds great. It'd be wonderful to have that type of situation, but it really doesn't mix with dogs. And little children running around where the dogs that may not like children have attacked the children. So that needs to, you know, there's ways to stop that. If you drive by the dog park and you see a big giant party going on, because they'd make it big with balloons, you know, all the police have to do is stop and say, hey, listen, can't have a party here. Some of the suggestions that I came up with is maybe more signage, not a lot more, but some at where the picnic tables are, like right there. So like if there is a problem, whoever's having the problem with the other person can just point to the sign. Something like that. Maybe partner up with Animal Services and have them evaluate and recommend, because they do this all the time. Definitely have the police have, you know, some kind of a procedure, or at least put a memo out, like, you know, when you get a call to the dog park, please try to handle it and maybe write reports. definitely when you have I've talked to people in these dog park from Doral and other places that they have a form or a log. They log people in, like if there is a problem with a person that brings an aggressive dog, and we have quite a few. You write down their names and that they warned them and this and that. So that way, if the next police officer comes or parks, maybe the parks can also get involved in this, parks department, and they can go, oh wow, we've already warned you before once or twice. Now you're done. You know, trespass warning, you can't come back. That's kind of what they do. And usually what they tell them is your dog is not, not good for this dog park. So don't bring them back. You can't bring them. Maybe camera surveillance. I don't know. I don't think we're that updated or in Miami Springs yet with cameras everywhere or any kind of, internet cameras. And then let's see. There's another suggestion from someone, Tammy here, that there are some places that actually require registration for the dog park. So if people really want to come, and especially people that live here. A lot of these people are not from here, by the way. These are from outside the city. The people that live here can maybe register. You get a little armband or your name on a list or something. And then that makes it easier for the police too, or the parks people, whoever's going to be involved. And really there could be volunteers. I'm sure the people that put this all together, Ralph and I'm going to forget somebody I know for sure, but Tammy and Ernest and several of the other people put this all together a long time ago for the good of Miami Springs, for everyone to have fun. I did look up the police reports, Chief, and there was a lot of calls, but different stuff, suspicious vehicle, things like that. There are animal incidents in the last 3 years, and there are miscellaneous investigations, which probably has something to do with dog stuff. And, there's like 21. It's not a lot. It's not a huge amount, but that's only the people that call because they've had enough. The rest of the people just leave. So or they think maybe the police don't want to get involved or they're going to be bothering them. And look, when it happened to me that day, I didn't even call the police. I went home.
Should have called the police.
You're absolutely right. I should have called the police. I did eventually, 5 days later.
Should have called the police. Then maybe it could have got the person while they were right there.
I was devastated, honestly, and I'm a proud person. And I tell anybody that tells me that, I tell them call the police. But so you understand. I didn't even call rescue. I hobbled home and then I went to the emergency room. So anyways, I did reach out to someone that's pretty familiar with the dog parks and things like that, and he's next on the list. And I hope I didn't go too long.
Oh, you did, but it's okay.
I saw you looking at the clock, so I got the hint.
You went over about everything, so I don't think I can let the other guy talk.
But
now,
well, let me see.
No,
it's only 7:40.
Yeah.
Don't you guys usually go to 9:30 or 10?
No,
so.
Usually we're out of here by 8 o'clock. But anyway. We still got to discuss it up here. I mean, you've given us some good ideas, and we'll discuss it and see. But this is, we appreciate you coming. We're sorry that happened to you. But we'll talk about it. We'll let the Eric come up and talk, and then we'll go over it all.
Thank y'all.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Good evening. I'm coming just as a private citizen now, but I did manage 2 years with the city of Doral at the Trails and Tales Dog Park. And yes, we had a lot of the same experiences that the Miami Springs Dog Park is having here now. Owners can become very territorial with their dogs. It's almost, I liken it to parents looking after their kids in a tot lot. As soon as their kid gets brushed by anybody, they get very defensive. I've seen owners create cliques of similar type dogs or people that are kind of similar in the way that they rear their dog. And then they become kind of notorious in the area, as Lynn said, that people really just don't want to go anymore. And that kind of hurts the dog park. A couple of things that we started to do was Animal Services was very receptive, to helping to train our staff who were on site all the time at the dog park. There was 2 shifts, one in the morning and one in the evening, that would be at the dog park during non-peak hours and peak hours. Animal Services did go in. We called 311, created a case with them. They actually did even come out, and we were able to talk with them for a while and have a meeting about things to look out for. And they came, even though unfortunately Animal Services is, their department's a little overwhelmed, they were able to come out a couple of times and just clear everybody out. If you didn't have a tag, you were out. If you didn't have a leash, you were out, and you were given a fine. That really helped us out a lot. So that is a recommendation that Lynn gave, that that is something that could really help out. I think there's a great crop of volunteers over here that could create kind of like a neighborhood patrol. If parks can't dedicate a staff to go over there, at least during peak hours, just to be there and just have eyes on the park. Sometimes people, unfortunately, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So it's like if there's nobody there to enforce the rules, it's kind of every person for themselves. Let me see. Another effort that was made but didn't really come to fruition during my time there was to, create a programming for the park. A lot of people, dog parks are very in demand right now, so create some kind of behavioral classes where a trainer would come out and whoever would want to come, be able to learn how to rear their dog. In my experience there, you ask 10 different people how to rear their dogs, you get 10 different answers. Not all of them are the best. And usually, yes, you see a lot of, well, I'm going to take my dog there so he gets out of his socializing problems. No, that's really not the way it's going to be. You really have to take your dog to obedience classes. So really making a concerted effort to try to promote education of how to take care of your dog, how to properly, seen too many people, dogs with shock collars, because the owners really don't know properly how to take care of their dog. A lot of owners talk to their dogs like if they're people. So I think there's something there, an effort that could be made to, for the city to promote programming. And then, through that, you get, better vigilance. And that's really, some of the, the basic points there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. That was everybody wanted to speak on the project, on the situation. How many here are here to listen to this for the dog park? I see Ernest there, so you're all here. Okay. All right. Good.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So I was really appalled when I read in the paper what had happened to you. And I am an absolute dog lover and have 2 dogs that I think are people. And I have stopped going to the park because of similar incidents. I didn't get injured, but the same kind of like irresponsible behavior from people. And at one point, my little dog ran under the fence trying to get away from an aggressive dog, and the owner didn't really care, so I stopped going there. I know that we as a city took a lot of pride when that park went up, and we, even in our budget, put a tiki hut in there at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we care about the dog owners having
have 2.
Right, a place with shade, and I even said, wow, that's like a lot of money for a tiki hut and all that, but we did that, and I think that was good. But I don't think it's good when we're having people going in there and doing parties and things like that. They're abusing something and using it for things. It's not intended for that. It's intended for people to relax with their dogs and let them, have some free time running around and being with other dogs, and they have to be responsible. So I love the idea of us as a city looking into this a little bit more in terms of what we can do to enforce some of the rules that are already there. And I like the idea of Animal Services and exploring that, and I'm willing to reach out to them and find out some information and report back on that. But I really would like us to address this, because it's a shame that we have that park. And I'm not one for restricting people from outside of the community coming in, but I think that we should restrict everyone in there in general from doing things that break the rules. I myself sometimes go all the way to Coconut Grove where they have a park that has small dogs and large dogs separate, and it's overseen. So I drive all the way out there, so I shouldn't be doing that.
Anything, anybody?
Mayor, may I? May I ask questions of the two people who spoke?
Sure.
Okay. Eric, for you, I wanted to ask you, when Animal Services, you said that you worked with Animal Services and they responded. I know Doral Animal Services, was Animal Services in that location? They're in Doral now?
Yes,
Or,
yes.
So they were nearby.
Mhm.
What would they respond to and what would they do?
Well, what they would do is that they'd come out in the mornings. We would definitely want them to come out in the afternoons, but most of the time they'd come when they were available. Two investigators would come out because they have investigators and then they have, I believe, like dog control people. They would come out and then they would just clean house and they would see you didn't have a leash. Oh, okay. Here's
They did a
violation.
sweep. They
Yeah.
basically did a sweep.
Pretty
So
much.
it wasn't, they
Understand.
weren't responding to an incident. They were just coming out from
No,
time
they
to
would come
time
out like
to
on the regular
assist
and then
with
make
the-
it like a routine. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then I have a question for Lynn. And I
Don't
just.
make her come up here.
Lynn, oh, okay.
Don't make
yes,
her
I'm
come
sorry.
up here.
Okay. Lynn, I know you're on the Parks Board, and this is a park. Do you think that this is an issue that should be turned to the Parks Board for recommendations to us on how to handle it? Is this something that you think is within your ability, or you think it's something that needs to go another route? I'm just asking. Okay. Okay. And then I have one more question because I don't know how to count. This came up about 2 years ago, and Lynn knows that.
Is this a question or you're going to
Yes,
story?
I'm going to give a question.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm prefacing
Oh,
it.
okay.
About 2 years ago, that there were some complaints about the dog park, and at that time I asked for what were the dog park rules, and I know Ralph worked on them, coming up with dog park rules. Do you remember this about 2 years ago? And then I asked for William to make sure, because one of the complaints I'd heard is that the police, very often when they respond, you know, it's like two kids bickering, like you said, at a playground, you know, and what are they supposed to do, so that the police were familiar with what the dog park rules are, so that at least they know what to enforce if they show up and they see that. Chief, is that something that is happening? Has your police become familiar with the rules that are in existence now? And we may need to augment them, I understand that, but.
Reinforce as far as making sure that they are fully aware of all the rules of the dog park and making sure that they patrol it when they're not on a call and respond appropriately when they do get a call in.
But
we just have to, like I said, reintroduce it.
Okay.
We have a lot of newer officers, so it's something that we would have to make sure that they get fully versed on.
Thank you.
Anybody else? From what I see here is it in a way it's this dog park started a long time ago, was supposed to be a volunteer dog park or whatever. From what I hear right now, the way it's going, I almost feel like we should shut it down and then reevaluate everything so that there's no problems from here to there. But I think there's a couple things. I think maybe there's got to be a membership where people have to pay a fee to be part of our dog park. There's a lot of different things that have to be discussed to go ahead and solve this problem, but it's not going to be here tonight. It's almost to the point where, you know, that to have the controls from the county to come out and look and go over it, you'd have to have an appointment to do that. There's a lot of things that have been discussed here that are good. I believe that the rules would have to be put, council, the rules would have to be put in an ordinance form so that the police can enforce it. Is that true?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can pass a resolution with rules.
But
I mean,
from what I was told before, them rules from another Mr. Beckerman, them rules aren't enforceable because they're not, they're rules, but they're not enforceable?
Well, it depends on what the objective is. If the objective is to get to the point where, I mean, certainly there are rules, and police, just like parks, can enforce them. Parks enforces them. They can call the police if someone's being responsive. The moment that a police officer shows up and gives an order and someone fails to abide by it, they're failing to abide by a lawful order.
Okay.
But if you wanted to get the weight of a municipal ordinance that it could be
I'm gonna
a
put some
violation,
skin in the game,
right?
you know.
Then you could codify it. Just obviously it becomes more difficult to change it. You have to go back to 2 readings every time.
Well,
but because we have park regulations that currently aren't all codified.
yeah, but in this case, if you have somebody that gets injured at the park, and the police officer goes in there, as far as I'm concerned, it's almost assault and battery. No? What happened to her?
No, because it was the dog, from what I
Well-
remember correctly from the report. The dog was the one that knocked her over.
I mean, every time you hear if a dog attacks somebody, in different on television, when you listen to the news, when a dog attacks somebody, the owner becomes responsible.
Correct.
Okay, well,
For most of them.
in my opinion, what happened to her, the owner she should have called the police, and the owner
Correct,
should.
and then that type of situation, we would follow up with animal control.
Right.
And they take over that
Yeah,
part of the
but
investigation.
But there should be some, in my mind, there's got to be something responsibility to the owner of not taking care of that dog. I mean, that's why pit bulls were told aren't allowed to be
In Dade County.
In Dade County. I mean, so the owner has to be responsible for their dog.
Correct,
Okay.
and that's where animal control would follow up on the investigation,
But it's
and
not a
and their
police matter.
investigators.
It
No,
wouldn't be a
not
police-
not in my experience, it has
Not
been.
in your experience?
No.
Okay.
I'm sure there are circumstances in which that could be. I mean,
I
if,
think
you,
so.
if you send your dog to attack someone.
Yeah, that's a
but,
different
I mean,
story, correct.
But certainly an accident is an accident, even if it involves a pet.
See, you asked the right questions. You can get her up here.
Told me not to come up. You said, don't have her come up here. Well, first of all, I don't want the dog park closed down. I mean, honestly, I think if we all kind of coordinate and we can come up with a smooth sailing, eventually, it's going to be a little bumpy in the beginning because the people that are creating this are going to get the message, and then they're going to go away, and pretty much they'll probably stay away. But yes, regarding the dog, he didn't sick the dog on me. If he sicked the dog, said go get her, that's another story. And but what would have happened is if the police had come, they would have taken his name down, wrote a report, and then referred it to animal control.
Okay.
And the animal control would have approached him, and in that way it would probably be good because his dogs are a little out of control. The dog prior to that bit my dog and the haunches. So he needs attention, but and
Well, then I guess the suggestion would be here tonight is for you. You're all a lot of you are here. I don't know, it's 10. It looks like 10 or 11 of you. I mean, the suggestion I have is for you to come up with a proposal of what we to start this off, because you're not going to get 5 people up here to it's going to be tough to go ahead and go over all these rules and get them done because Ernest has been at that dog park and knows right from the beginning of when it started, and this situation wasn't the how this was supposed to become about. It's supposed to be a friendly dog park. I mean, if we want to have it, I mean, I need to know if it would behoove us not to have anybody from outside the city go there.
Well, my suggestion, and I did come up with some suggestions
Yeah,
that
but
I think that if we can get the Parks and Recreations Department involved and Animal Services maybe to come in and give them a few little tips on what to do. The police because the chief's right, got a lot of brand new cops that don't, it's a dog park, and last thing we want to do is go over there and break up dog fights. I do believe that it can get done in an orderly manner and not so difficult. I think it can be done, and maybe there's a few rules in there we can make a little more specific. I think
That's what I
our
mean.
sign says no dog food, but I think we can put like no no people food,
Look,
no
you-
food at all.
You're
and-
there, and seems like you're representing these people that are out here tonight.
Well,
You're
no,
there.
they came to support me. I
Okay,
didn't
well,
even know about this until someone told me
Well,
that
that's
it was
why
on the agenda.
that's why I deferred it to this meeting so that everybody could come to the meeting. And it was her idea to bring you here, but we deferred it last meeting because nobody showed up so that
Yeah,
you guys
I didn't know
you guys
about
would
it.
have your speak.
But I don't want it to be more complicated than it
Well,
is.
I
And I'm
need
not
that-
saying you're complicating.
need
I'm just saying that I think it can be. You know, I just gave some solutions because when I bring a problem, I always try to bring a solution. Because if I just send you a problem, I know it's just going to go around in circles. But I think at this level, because also there is liability issues, you know, with the biting and the people that are going to have gotten into fights. I talked to a lady across the street, said all the time there's fighting and arguing and dog
You mean
fighting.
the people or the dogs?
People are fighting, yeah. But what happens is nobody wants to stay and call the police. Nobody wants to hang around, and that's what happens. So, you know, I think it's gotten everybody's attention. It's come to this where it came to a head. My situation, only reason I'm here is the way I was treated, and what I realize is really going on is a serious deal. I got hurt. I was out there. It was on, you know, me and the dog. It wasn't, you know, he didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
So, but I thank you, you know, really for listening to this. But I think we can just come to a common answer and get it resolved.
Mayor, I have a question for William. Do you, William, do you think it's better, should Parks and Recreation Department work with the citizens, the residents to come up with this? Or is it something that should go to a board, like the Recreation Board, the Parks Board, to handle? What do you think is the best? Because obviously there's a lot of recommendations here and things that need to be looked into and, you know, the feasibility, whether to register people or not, you know, if that's something we want to pursue or not, I don't know.
Well, I would suggest you allow me to get with Omar and with the chief and see if we can come up, because the problem here is really not, the rules are there. I mean, people having parties, the rules say there's no edible items allowed in the park. So if that's going on, someone needs to report it to the police so that we can take action on it. But in talking to Omar he's telling me in the last few years that he's been here, he has gotten maybe a handful of problems or complaints from the dog park. So I guess what's happening, maybe we need to put the phone number in larger letters so that people can call, because they're not calling. But most of the rules are here, and what I would suggest that you allow us to get with staff and with the chief and come up with some type of action plan, and then maybe if I'll get in touch with Ms. Brooks and get her input on some of this and see if we can come up with some type of friendly solution. I mean, it's not an easy subject. It's like, you know, it's like parents with little kids.
It's 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion for that, or?
I'd just like to say something here on this for a moment. Lynn, I'm sorry this happened to you. I over the years have heard of actually several incidents at that dog park among animals, be they those that live here in the Springs or from the outside. From the little bit I've heard here tonight is, first of all, to have animals from outside of the city, I think, is wrong. Second thing is, look, you're not going to legislate animal behavior. It's just not done. You can legislate people behavior, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said that. I do think, and I appreciate your thought on this, but I do think to let these boards take a look at it and assist the administration. The administration is going to do a fine job in their research. There's no question about it. But to have any additional information going forward on this that we can have to help us to fix the problem, I think is in all of our best interest. I know many of you here tonight have gone there for years to that dog park, and it's not you guys that are the problem, but you put two animals together and that 1% wolf comes out in them, I don't care who you are, you're not going to stop them. So that's something that's got to be concerned. If you can't control an animal, it has no business in that dog park, bottom line. And I think that's the direction that we need to go. Just my thought, Mayor.
Well, I think that one thing, I allow William and the staff to do it, but any suggestions that the people in the audience would like to give to the staff to
Mhm.
help them make their decision, please feel free to email them to one of us on council so we can distribute it to the manager and so that we understand you guys are there all the time. I know Ernest is there reading his books all the time over there, and all the time. I don't know what he reads, but he reads there all the time.
I don't know what he reads.
But we need your help because you're there every day to help us solve the problem and go from there. You know, so you could always get through the city clerk to me, to everybody here, to help staff out to go ahead and set these rules and see if we can accommodate you with a happier, better dog park. Okay.
I'd like to add something. I want to thank the city for taking the stance that you're going to get together with people in Parks and Recreation and do this. I don't want this to be a long drawn out thing. I want this to be addressed as soon as possible. I'm willing to work with you in any way that you'd like. I've experienced some of that myself. This is very clearly about rules that are posted and are not being followed. And I think what the chief mentioned about having the police, be aware of what the rules are and just bringing it to their attention so that when they're not on call somewhere else or patrolling that area, they do an excellent job already of just all of our needs in the community. So to include them as well. I don't think that this needs to be really complicated, and I definitely don't want the park shut down for any amount of time. That's
Well,
my
to say to
suggestion.
shut the park down will motivate people to come up with something to help us with the situation.
I see a lot of motivated people here.
Okay. We'll hope we can come up with some good suggestions and we go forward.
Okay,
That's
thank
it.
you.
That's it. Good luck. Paul, let us know.
Got it.
Okay, we go to 12B. Request for council to approve, what is that, Sebastian Strong 5K road closure for November 9th, 2019 from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Motion to approve 11B is read.
Second.
And what's the route on this? Where's the route?
It's the same as it has been.
Same as it has
Yes.
been? And we got notification, is it gonna go down any residential? Did we make sure we notified the people, because they couldn't get out of their houses and they were kind of make sure there's enough notice that they know that it's
Okay.
coming? Just so we don't make the same mistake the last time.
Didn't it have to do with the route that year, and then last year changed? Because the year before was when that happened?
It changed slightly, but not too much. But yeah.
So that they weren't like blocked in like
Yeah,
that?
but they couldn't get out, but I just wanna make sure
Yeah,
the
that's
residents are
important.
aware that race is, that the 5K is going on November 9th. It's a long ways from now, but make sure. I got a
know
first and
that-
second.
I just wanted to mention that I know that last year, what the difference was, Chief, is that I think the first year, the roads were closed off the whole time waiting for the event to take place. And what I heard is last year it was monitored a little bit better, so they were closed down as the racers were approaching.
Yes.
And that helped a lot. From everyone who had been blocked in before that were so worried about what would happen last year, I got back really great
Just let
comments.
everybody know.
It came up by our.
Got a first and second? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolano?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes, we go to request of the council approve the circle closure for July 4th car show.
Motion to move, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolano?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes, we go to D. Request by Councilman Petrolonga, discuss overnight parking, I guess the downtown area, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, the downtown area. I'm gonna,
I just think that we should be proactive and maybe set a time where people, I just don't want people that live in the area park there overnight and then just leave their cars out. That's my concern for asking for this. So I'm thinking 12 o'clock would be where people need to move their cars by 12 or any other time, but I don't think we should allow overnight parking in the downtown area.
We had a problem over on the east side, 2-3 years ago, that we got involved with, and the administration got involved with, and it was duly adjudicated by simply posting something along the lines of what you're recommending, and it went
Absolutely.
away.
Absolutely.
Problem went away like that.
Yep. That's what we need to do. Be proactive. We don't want it to become a problem and then act on it. I think we should, because you know it's going to happen.
I think too, what we need to consider here is not to make it a burden to law enforcement either, that they're going
Right.
around monitoring, is this car been here for 6 hours or 4 hours, you don't want that.
No. It would be overnight. It would be,
Councilman Petrolanda, I think it's a great idea.
Thank
I
you.
think it's going to also be very proactive, considering that, the residential units and stuff that we're going to have, of all of a sudden somebody leaves their car parked there for days because they're not moving their car. So, but I guess what we need to discuss is how we do that, because at the parks, we have from sunset to sunrise, and that wouldn't work here because obviously we have, so, I don't know if midnight or the hours need to be
Yeah, you have to change that.
discussed as far as, we want
Because
to make
we don't
sure that
wanna-
people can visit the restaurants that are open late, and or,
That's right.
bars or whatever might come,
we don't want a restaurant that closes late to.
for
to-
someone to have to go move their car.
Exactly. But we don't want to allow people to park there overnight either, so we got to find a balance.
So I'd like to pass a motion that we pursue what you're asking, and just ask for the city to come back with, the
time.
hours, how
Absolutely.
that would be
What
addressed.
area are you downtown? I know we talked about Canal Street.
But
I-
just to the end of the gateway, I want the overlay, yeah.
Just the gateway?
Yes,
Okay.
because I know there's about, how many more blocks after that? About two more blocks?
Or 3,
I want to say there's 2 more blocks from the end of, what is that, Nakota?
yeah.
Yeah.
Dakota Market.
Right.
So I like it to just
So, all right, so those,
encompass that
okay.
area there. Unless somebody else wants to do the whole Canal Street, I have no problem with it.
All right, so we're going to allow staff to come up with a presentation of what hours. That correct?
And I'd like, Mayor, if I may, because we're talking about overnight parking, and I wasn't sure if you were just talking about downtown. I had some residents reach out to me about the issue at, and just this week, about the parking at Stafford Park, that I know we put up signs that said, no parking sunrise to sunset. And I just want to bring up that some of the residents said they're concerned that they're getting warnings, the people are getting warnings, they're not citations. So they seem to still have, people there and they have to call. I'll address that later because I don't want to confuse it with this issue.
I'm sorry, you said what? That they're getting citations?
They're getting
Oh,
warnings
warnings.
instead of citations, so they do it over and over again. They park over and over again, and somebody has to call to complain.
Gotcha.
And Chief, I'll ask through William later about that, but it was an issue.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and allow staff to come up with hours and signage. That what we are doing
And
now?
a process,
And a process.
and some enforcement mechanism for police
Okay.
to be able to enforce it.
Okay.
Through the
so-
chair, Mr. Espino, we can do that by just direction only, we don't need to.
Yeah, consensus. Consensus is fine.
to go ahead. I got everybody. Yes.
I have a question. So Canal Street, where you have some homes like on the other side of Crackers, for example, some rental property there, aren't some of those people parking there overnight on
course.
the street?
Of
Sure.
course.
So that's
And-
going
and
to
the
affect them
and
as
the
well.
municipal lot as well.
No, well, it depends. We're only going until, what was the name of the street?
No,
Market.
that's
Market.
Market or Nakota. I can't remember what
Yeah.
it is right now, but that would be
That's
that
right.
area is included in it.
Oh, it is?
I'm just saying, I'm just thinking we have to be cautious.
There's within that first block headed west on Curtis. Once you come over the bridge on the right hand side between the Apple Dental and Crackers, there's multifamily residential there that is known to park in the swales on Canal Street and almost certainly in the municipal lot behind.
They don't have driveways, really, in those little units. And then, what's to say that people that move into apartments on the other side are going to say these people are doing it in their same street? So I'm just saying we have to be cautious of how we address that.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not against it, but I just think that we have to be cautious because then we're going to have people with the same situation and have different rules. So,
I think that's
It'll
why
come
we're
to
asking
bite us.
staff to come back and,
Yeah.
and look at the whole
yeah,
issue.
that's why I'm saying that
Yeah.
just,
I'm sure William will gather.
Okay. Okay. We go to the city attorney. Anything from you tonight?
Happy summer break
Thank you.
to to Councilman Petrolanda. No, really to all of us.
summer break. What is that?
It's the easing of traffic that I experienced already today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's all.
City manager?
Nothing, Mayor. Nice to be back, and want to thank Tammy for the job she did while I was away. And that's all I have.
Councilman Mitchell?
I have a few, Vince.
Well, I
Happy
said,
Father's Day, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a
And to you.
Father's Day Sunday Fun Day at the pool from noon to 6 on Sunday, June 16th. We also have on Monday, June 17th, we have the Camp Invention at the Curtis Mansion. I'm not sure if they're already booked or not, but then we have the Yoga at the Circle, which is on June 19th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is the Wellness Wednesday. That's all.
Councilwoman Mitchell?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank Tammy also for the amazing job you did in holding the fort down in William's absence. And then just to thank the mayor, at the last meeting you said that you were getting a lot of traction with the hotel bed tax issue, and I've heard from a lot of residents, their big complaint still is, you know, the crime on 36th Street, and also what they perceive as they're not seeing enough police visibility for the speeding, and this is something that obviously the traction that you're getting with the hotel bed tax issue would alleviate, so thank you for that. And I wanted to suggest, to see if the council is up for this, I asked William how much we have in the city council budget for the end of the year, and I think he said 5,600. So since we're in summer, and Councilman Petrolanda, you're out, I thought, I was wondering if the rest of the council would be interested in having like one night a week, an ice cream social at our pool. The concession stand is just such a nice concession stand, and it's always closed. And I know it opens into the parking lot, and I thought perhaps that's something that the council, we could sponsor one night a week in the summer until school starts again, of having ice cream for the residents, you know, for 2 hours in the evening or something. And those of us who are here in the city during that time can show up on those nights and help serve their ice cream.
If you want to put on the agenda for discussion,
Is that?
yeah.
Okay.
And the
If everyone-
particulars.
Okay.
And the particulars,
Sounds
see
like
what we come up with. But this is our last meeting. We're not meeting in July, right? Or we have one more meeting in this
Yeah,
week.
June 24th.
Okay.
June 24th.
Maybe in the next agenda, discuss what kind of particulars you're talking about, and you know, so that we have a structure of what you want to do, and we'll try. We'll see
All
how
right,
it
and
goes,
it'd be nice if we do that till school starts, you know, till,
or till the money runs out.
well, hopefully we won't dig that
we don't
deeply
wanna
into
run
the
the whole
money.
5,600 on ice
I
cream.
don't
Come
know.
on, man.
But anyway, remember, I'm married.
And the last thing I wanted to ask is, we had a resident and others show up about the electric vehicles on Canal Street. Is that something that this council would like to have further discussion on for the next meeting, or something that we would consider for putting on the budget? I think he's made some excellent points about an electric charger station in our business district attracts people to, just like they go to Publix in Doral, they charge up their vehicle while they're shopping for groceries, and then they get a bite to eat nearby. So I think just to follow up with the charger that we have at the golf course now, the next step would be to consider one for the business district. And I'm just asking the council if this is something you'd like for discussion in the next meeting, or to put on the budget, proposed budget, as a wish list item.
I'm not ready for it yet myself on the issue. I'm not ready. I think we got to analyze about, you know, with the fact that the downtown, when they start making that building, if it's the right timing to do it. I'm not necessarily against it, but I don't know if it's the right time. I think it's something that should be approached at the next budget.
Okay.
And that's how I'm looking at it right now. And I wanted to talk to him and get a little more research of what kind of demand it's going to be in our city. I know that Walmart has put up a bunch of electric chargers, and I got to understand this situation about the electric car. I mean, I don't know how you live in Miami Springs, 3.1. I don't understand it, but you live in Miami Springs, 3.1 miles, and you got to charge your car when you get.
I was kind of wondering the same thing myself.
You know, I just don't understand that part of it. Like golf cart can run all day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I got to understand a little more. But if I'm willing to put this for discussion on the budget for next year, but I think right now with the building being torn down, I don't know if it's something that needs to be done until October. That's my opinion.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Anything from you, Councilwoman Zapata?
Yeah, a couple of things. I attended the Amigos for Kids event this weekend that is a nonprofit that organized to support neglect and abused children, and our Commissioner Sosa was there. It was a very nice event. Nice to know that there's so many people in our city that care about the needs of children and their well-being. As far as the electric car issue, I'm willing to explore that. I think that whether it's the people in Miami Springs may not all have electric cars, but I think it's a huge draw for a community to have that, especially for the new commercial development. I was very proud. The other day I was at the League of Cities meeting, and we had somebody from the mayor of Coral Gables speaking, and at these meetings, all the municipalities are bragging about, the wonderful things they're doing. And when they brought up electric cars, I said, we have that also in Miami Springs. And it was nice to be able to say that. And I think it meets the needs of people. So I'm willing to explore that as well.
Councilman
I just want to touch on that car issue now that you brought it up too. I think it's a great idea. The issue is that we all, were in consensus not too long ago, that parking in the downtown area is at a premium. So I'm not sure how we can now get 1 or 2 spaces to do this, especially like the mayor says, that we are in the middle of constructions in the downtown area. So it would be prudent, I think, is just to wait a little longer. And now I'm not against it, but the downtown area is very, very, they don't have that many parking spaces, as we came to a consensus a while back. So now I'm not sure where we're going to get the extra spaces, but it's something we need to look at.
I think that it doesn't have to be exactly in the downtown area, that we can look at that down the road, but there's certainly some other locations that we can put a couple of more in the city if we wanted to. And I think we need to get more into the mindset of walking a little bit. You put your car at the charging station and you walk a few blocks downtown to new venues that we have, and that draws people. So
that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Best.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. Thank you. First off, I'd also like to echo my colleague's sentiment on Tammy running the city in the absence of Mr. Alonso. I thought she did a bang-up job, and you can let her run the city any day, sir. She did a great job. Very responsive to everything that certainly that I asked, and I'm certain others too. The electric car thing is, I just had it in my notes here, but I guess it's already been asked about, 3.1 square miles, and you're going to Milam's charging your car. I don't get that. How long do these things, does it require? Jean-Marc, maybe you could answer that. I don't know if it's appropriate to bring you to a well during this, but
Yeah,
that's just that one quick question.
Yeah. How long does a car stay charged? How many miles can you go on with the charge?
That's my question, exactly.
My car holds the smallest battery for an electric car.
How many miles can you go on a charge, full charge?
Oh, about 75 miles.
75, okay.
And again, my car has the smallest battery. A larger car like a Tesla can go up to 300 miles.
Okay.
The idea to have a charging station here is not for the resident to charge the car here, because I charge my car at home. When I get home in the evening, I charge my car. I wake up in the morning, there you go. It's fill up. It's for the visitors.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I guess, thank you, Jean-Marc. I know that a lot of us have read that we've been sent on our emails. It was a certain resident who lives over on the east side, and she had written about some of these calisthenic equipment that have been installed around the county, various, I think she mentioned Coral Gables, maybe another 2 or 3 other places. Very inexpensive stuff to put up, people that can do pull-ups, chin-ups while they're running, working out. I'd like us to maybe down the road think about a couple spots that along the bike path or something that we could. Used to have it over by the Curtis Mansion, remember?
Yeah,
well, we had that. We
Yeah.
also had them around the walk at East
We
Drive.
had the walk on East also, but
Stafford Park.
anyway, I'm just responding to her concern on that, and for us to think about perhaps. This thing with the ducks, I think that is that finally gone to bed or what, or is it still a problem?
What do you mean?
the ducks, people capturing ducks and running ducks all over this town. And as a further to that, there has been noted 2 or 3 nestings of hawks in this town, which are affecting certain areas, particularly over on Cardinal Street, and I know over on Redbird for sure. I don't know if maybe we need to put our heads together on this and maybe put police lines around where nesting areas are and at least identify these areas so that folks know that this is happening. There was a gentleman attacked recently over on by the library area. So that was a concern that I'd like to bring up to us all tonight. I think it is the nesting season now, and they're just probably breaking nest and learning how to fly and stuff, so that might have something to do with it, but that's a dangerous animal.
Okay.
The baseball team. I guess we're going to do them in 2 weeks.
If everything works, I mean,
if everything works out okay,
we're going to do all city.
Get them all here.
We're going to do all city players from all sports and the baseball team.
Okay.
Because I've got Artie and Bill Drew working on getting all the names for you. Did they contact you yet?
I need to speak to you.
Oh, okay. Maybe it might be, but we're supposed to try to do it by the 24th.
Okay.
Okay.
If I could mention, Artie did come by the office this afternoon, and he mentioned that a lot of the students are traveling for summer. So he suggested August, maybe the first or second meeting in August, to have the all-day county.
Oh,
winners.
okay.
So that's why
No, we're gonna. No, we want to go. Then for sure, we want the baseball team.
baseball team is set
The
for the
24th,
24th.
right.
But the other item, the all-day, would be
Okay, that's fine. The all stars. I mean, the all day.
all-day
All-day
county.
team.
Well, I think that we'll talk.
Okay,
Because
great.
I'm okay.
Mayor, thanks a lot.
You got it. This meeting's adjourned.
Oh, you had a guy over there. Who is
Chief,
that?
Chief.
Who is that guy?
Armando. Oh, I'm sorry.